Okay, so I know my husband and I's bread and butter has been the characters seen in the DC animated universe. I've talked about tragic villains like Solomon Grundy. Well, he goes on and on about Two-Face, Clayface, and pretty much any other Batman villain with a face. But if you have listened to our podcast, Totally Shui Flipside, that's Totally Shui Flipside, you might recall that we spoke in depth about every episode of X-Men 97. If you haven't listened to it, well, this is the perfect opportunity for me to make a cheap plug. Go listen. Based on our reactions to those characters, I would forgive you if you were to have thought the first character I'd talk about was Magneto. Magneto was right. But the character I want to kick things off with today is the X-Man, or should that be X-Woman, Rogue. Well, X-Men 97 handled the conflicted nature of Magneto so well. He wasn't anywhere near as complex a character in the original run of X-Men the animated series. Rogue, meanwhile, has spoken to me ever since I was a child. Rogue is a character I looked up to when I was a kid. She beat up bullies, and she was able to protect the people around her from the awful things going on outside of the mansion. But she also had a tragic past. When she was just a girl, her mutant powers manifested when she first kissed a boy she liked. Her father was completely ashamed of her and cast her out. Just saying that out loud immediately makes it sound like a queer awakening and the difficulty that so many homosexual, non-binary, and trans people have experienced for being their authentic selves. It also helps that I too am from the South and saw how people that weren't heterosexual were treated firsthand. That's not to say that everyone in the South is a Bible-thumping bigot. Most people there don't care either way, but there were enough of them around to make life very difficult for people that wanted to be their true selves. The X-Men have been presented as a queer allegory for decades now, with the most obvious example being seen in X2, where Iceman's mother asked him if he had tried just not being a mutant, as if it was something that could just be switched off. But I think that out of all of the X-Men, Rogue's allegorical nature seems to be the strongest because her powers are based on skin-to-skin contact with other people, and that her powers first activated when kissing someone. The scene with her first boyfriend, Cody, screams of allegory to me. The mutual desire, the anticipation, and then, once they begin kissing, almost immediate revulsion and regret that you see in repressed people. Getting cast out by her family is another thing that queer people can relate to, as well as the found family she picked up along the way. In X-Men 97, we learned that Rogue had a brief but intense relationship with Magneto. After Mystique left her under Magneto's tutelage, she believed that a powerful mutant like Magneto had what it takes to teach Rogue to control her powers. But he betrayed that trust when he had a secret relationship with her. Somehow the electromagnetic energy that ran through Magneto's body protected him from Rogue's powers, and she celebrated this fact by sleeping with him, releasing all of her pent-up sexual energy. And that was the basis of their relationship, the fact that she could be intimate with him. She also respected him for his work to define mutant culture and art, but ultimately, it was all down to the fact that he could safely touch her. But that relationship could never last. Magneto was too damaged, and they agreed to never speak of it again, like a secret shame. Rogue's one true love, as everyone knows, is her fellow X-Man, Gambit, the charming scoundrel that was always trying to sneak a kiss from her, despite the fact that it could cause him harm. He didn't care because he genuinely loved her and always came back for more. Gambit is another mutant whose powers are based on touch. He can turn any inanimate object bright pink and then make it explode. I don't think that this is a significant point, but it's something worth pointing out. Gambit and Rogue's will they, won't they relationship was one of the core things in the original X-Men animated series. I will always remember the moment where, facing their potential deaths, Gambit tenderly kisses Rogue. Tugs at my heartstrings every time. While scenes like this may have gently tugged on my heartstrings, X-Men 97 completely yanked my heart right out of my chest in the episode Remember It. Ever since Magneto was bequeathed control of the X-Men in Professor X's will, and sincerely attempted to follow Xavier's dream, Rogue and Magneto had started to tentatively rekindle their romance. On the mutant nation of Genosha, Magneto was selected as their leader, and he would only accept the position if Rogue could rule by his side. And she accepted. This, of course, broke Gambit's heart, but he understood why she made the decision she did. Magneto could offer her something that he never could: physical intimacy. He loved her enough to let her go with no ill will, although he was clearly unhappy about it. After very publicly dancing with Magneto and accepting his embrace, Rogue reconsiders and states that some things are more important than touch. It's at this point that the Sentinels strike, decimating Genosha. This horrific massacre puts all thoughts about romance out of their minds, as Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit form a strategy to save as many mutants as possible. Gambit goes after the Morlocks, while Magneto attacks the Godzilla Sentinel. Both men would seemingly sacrifice their lives in the attempt to save others. Magneto tries to shield the Morlocks, and Gambit saves Rogue. After Magneto's apparent murder, Rogue flies into a fury with tears streaming down her eyes. She's not even thinking clearly at this point, which Gambit recognizes, and he knocks her off the course with his motorbike, leaving himself open. While Gambit is killed by the Sentinel, he takes it with him. Rogue cradles his charred, lifeless body as she weeps. She says that she can't feel him, not physically, as in with her hands, but in her heart. Rogue then dedicates the rest of the season to getting revenge on the people behind the Sentinel attack. She smashes her way through the US military, gets in an argument with Captain America, and forcing herself on Gyrick. That last point is very key. Rogue has always feared using her powers on people, but she has no issues with violating Gyrick's mind to find her enemies, and frankly, he deserved it. When she finds Bolivar Trask, she stops him from committing suicide in order to get intel out of him, then casually drops him to his death. Folks may feel that this was out of character, but remember, she is her mother's daughter, and Wolverine approved. This hardened attitude is further demonstrated towards the end of the series, when Professor X returns. Rogue stands alongside the X-Men, wearing Gambit's coat. Note that she is also wearing her old green uniform from her days as part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Rogue's costume is generally pretty interesting. The traditional X-Men uniform is yellow and blue, but Rogue's is yellow and green. The yellow represents Xavier's team and her commitment to it, and the green is a reminder of her time with the Brotherhood. This change in clothes foreshadows what is about to come. When Magneto returns, he had merely been held hostage and retaliated by releasing an electromagnetic pulse that has destroyed Earth's technology. Rogue calmly takes off Gambit's coat, folds it up, and hands it to Professor X. The coat represents her belief in Charles Xavier's dream and the better kind of life she was trying to live with Gambit as part of the X-Men. But playing by the rules got Gambit killed, and so she leaves the X-Men and rejoins Magneto. While the conflict between Magneto and the X-Men gets resolved at the end of X-Men 97, what doesn't really get touched on is the fact that Rogue and Sunspot, let's not forget, rejected the X-Men and went off with Magneto. I guess saving the planet from an asteroid and getting sent thousands of years into the past will distract them from that. But I am very interested in seeing how the team reacts to Rogue, or maybe how she reacts to them going forward. I can't imagine that hanging out with Apocalypse will do much to rebuild her faith in humanity. It seems like she no longer believes in peaceful coexistence between humans and mutants. And I don't know what could happen to change her mind. Perhaps the return of a certain raging Cajun? We'll have to see. Okay, that's it for this. My first video about X-Men characters. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we usually talk about DC characters, but I wanted to distinguish myself a little from Serum Lake, my husband Luke, who edited this video and made the thumbnail, in case anybody thought I stole from him, even though I kinda do. Let me know your thoughts about Rogue, the X-Men, Magneto, and if I should continue down this path, or just stick to DC. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna talk more about X-Men. Don't forget to use the like button, share the video, leave a comment, and click the bell button to make sure you don't miss any of my future videos. And thanks for watching. Have a really great day. Bye-bye.